1. Impact of Nyzier Fourqurean's NCAA ruling on Wisconsin's defense. 2. U.S. Appeals Court upholds NCAA player eligibility rules. 3. Nyzier Fourqurean's NCAA eligibility ruling. What it means for the Badgers. 1. Impact of Nyzier Fourqurean's NCAA ruling on Wisconsin's defense. Blindsided in the Badger State. How one ruling just shook up Wisconsin's cornerback depth chart. Imagine building your entire defensive strategy around a seasoned cornerback, only to have him ruled ineligible just as the new season is about to kick off. That's the harsh reality Wisconsin's football team is facing after a recent, surprising decision regarding Nyzier Fourqurean. But here's where it gets even more intriguing. For those who might have missed it, Nyzier Fourqurean, a cornerstone of the Badgers' cornerback room, was deemed ineligible by the NCAA following a lengthy appeal process. So what led to this outcome, and more importantly, how will Wisconsin adjust its defensive lineup without him? The backstory: a fight for eligibility. Fourqurean's journey to this point is a complex one. Initially, he secured a favorable ruling in February, arguing that his time at Division II Grand Valley State shouldn't count against his eligibility, due to limited play in 11 games as a freshman and compelling personal circumstances. This waiver allowed him to play, but the NCAA was not ready to concede, appealing the decision and thus beginning a spring and summer of uncertainty for both Fourqurean and the Badgers. The verdict: a 2-1 decision with far-reaching consequences. Fast forward to Wednesday's U.S. Court of Appeals decision, which in a 2-1 ruling, sided with the NCAA, declaring Fourqurean ineligible for the 2025 season. This verdict not only affects Fourqurean's immediate future, but also significantly impacts Wisconsin's starting lineup, removing a veteran presence that was likely pivotal to their defensive strategy. Moving forward, Wisconsin's options and the path ahead. So what's next for the Badgers? With Fourqurean now off the table, Wisconsin must scramble to rebalance its cornerback depth chart. This could mean accelerated development for younger players, a more prominent role for reserves, or even exploring transfer market options. The question on every fan's mind: can Wisconsin's coaching staff effectively fill the gap left by Fourqurean's ineligibility, and what might this mean for their season outlook? And this is the part most people miss. The broader implications of this ruling could set a precedent for future eligibility cases, sparking a debate about the NCAA's handling of Division II transfers and personal hardship waivers. We want to hear from you. Do you think the NCAA's appeal was justified? Or should Fourqurean have been granted another year of eligibility? How do you foresee Wisconsin's cornerback situation unfolding without Fourqurean? Should the NCAA revisit its policies on Division II transfers and hardship waivers in light of cases like Fourqurean's? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Ready for more in-depth analysis? Subscribe now to unlock this article in full, plus gain access to all the expert insights and breaking news from the 247 Sports Network. Limited time offer. $1 for your first month. https://secure.247sports.com/college/wisconsin/join/question mark promo =VIP detail. Already a subscriber? Simply log in here. https://247sports.com/college/wisconsin/login. 2. U.S. Appeals Court upholds NCAA player eligibility rules. In a world where the lines between amateur and professional sports continue to blur, a recent court ruling has reignited the debate over how long student athletes should be allowed to compete in college. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Seventh Circuit sided with the NCAA in a contentious case involving player eligibility rules, ensuring that a key distinction between collegiate and professional athletics remains intact, for now. But here's where it gets controversial. While the decision preserves the status quo, critics argue it stifles competition and unfairly limits athletes' opportunities. So, what does this mean for the future of college sports? Let's dive into the details. On July 16, a divided panel of judges in Chicago overturned a lower court's decision that had favored Nyzier Fourqurean, a cornerback for the Wisconsin Badgers football team. The initial ruling would have allowed Fourqurean to compete beyond his fourth year of eligibility under the NCAA's so-called 5-year rule. This regulation restricts athletes to no more than 4 seasons of competition within 5 years after enrolling in college. The appeals court's reversal means the NCAA's framework governing player eligibility remains in place, at least until Fourqurean chooses to pursue further legal action in the lower courts. What makes this case particularly compelling is the broader implications it carries. For decades, the NCAA has argued that its eligibility rules are essential to maintaining the balance between academics and athletics, ensuring that college sports remain an amateur endeavor rather than a stepping stone to professionalism. However, opponents claim these policies disproportionately disadvantage players, forcing them out of the system just as they gain valuable experience. And this is the part most people miss. The debate isn't just about fairness. It's about economics, power dynamics, and who ultimately benefits from the immense revenue generated by college athletics. In her majority opinion, Circuit Judge Amy St. Eve criticized Fourqurean's legal strategy, asserting that he failed to connect his exclusion from college sports to any harm caused to competitors or potential rivals of the NCAA. She emphasized that Fourqurean did not qualify as a competitor of the organization, which weakened his antitrust claims. Joining her was Circuit Judge Joshua Kohler, who concurred with the reasoning behind the ruling. However, dissenting Judge Kenneth Ripple offered a starkly different perspective. He contended that the NCAA's 5-year rule artificially suppresses competition by removing experienced athletes from the labor market. His argument raises thought-provoking questions. Should college athletes be treated like employees? If so, do they deserve protections akin to those afforded to workers in other industries? During oral arguments earlier in the case, the appellate judges grappled with the challenge of determining how to set boundaries around player eligibility without undermining the essence of college sports. Representing the NCAA, attorney Rakesh Kalaru argued that the eligibility restrictions were vital to preserving the integrity of collegiate athletics. According to him, these rules ensure that students focus on both academics and athletics before making room for incoming players. On the other hand, Michael Crooks, Fourqurean's lawyer, countered that his client wasn't seeking to dismantle the entire system, but rather to carve out meaningful exceptions to accommodate unique circumstances. This lawsuit represents one of several ongoing efforts to reform player eligibility standards. In fact, the NCAA faces similar challenges elsewhere, including a federal judge's recent ruling in New Jersey that supported an athlete's claims mirroring those raised by Fourqurean. Meanwhile, the NCAA finds itself navigating uncharted territory, following a landmark multi-billion-dollar settlement agreement that permits schools to compensate athletes directly for their contributions. Yet even this historic deal hasn't escaped scrutiny, as its scope remains contested in yet another appeal. So where does all of this leave us? Is the current system truly broken, or does it serve a greater purpose? As debates rage on, we invite you to share your thoughts. Do you believe the NCAA's eligibility rules strike the right balance between protecting amateurism and fostering opportunity? Or is it time for a radical overhaul? Let us know in the comments below. 3. Nyzier Fourqurean's NCAA eligibility ruling. What it means for the Badgers. The future of Wisconsin Badgers cornerback Nyzier Fourqurean hangs in the balance after a significant legal setback. A federal appeals court has overturned a previous ruling that granted him an additional year of NCAA eligibility, throwing his participation in the upcoming season into uncertainty. On Wednesday, the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals issued a 2-1 decision reversing the earlier court order, which had allowed Fourqurean to compete for one more year. This reversal came after the NCAA appealed the initial ruling. Fourqurean, a fifth-year senior, had contended that his initial 2 seasons playing at Division II Grand Valley State should not count toward his NCAA eligibility. His case highlights the complexities and sometimes contentious nature of NCAA rules, especially when it comes to transfers and eligibility. For context, consider the case of Vanderbilt quarterback Diego Pavia. Pavia successfully argued in court that his 2 years at a junior college should not count against his eligibility. As a result, he is expected to return to the field this season. However, the NCAA is still contesting this decision, even as it has granted a blanket waiver allowing Pavia and similar athletes an extra year of eligibility. But here's where it gets controversial. While Pavia's situation seems to have a clearer resolution, Fourqurean's path forward remains murky. With Wisconsin's season opener against Miami, Ohio, just over 6 weeks away, the Badgers and Fourqurean are left in limbo. Attempts to reach Fourqurean's legal representatives and the Wisconsin football program for comment have so far been unsuccessful. The NCAA responded to the court's decision with a statement emphasizing its commitment to providing opportunities for student athletes. The member-approved rules, including years of eligibility, are designed to help ensure competition is safe and fair, aligning collegiate academic and athletic careers to provide high-level opportunities and benefits to hundreds of thousands of student athletes, the statement read. We are thankful the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals today reversed the district court's decision. During a U.S. District Court hearing in February, Fourqurean testified that he stood to earn hundreds of thousands of dollars in name, image and likeness (NIL) compensation if he were able to play this season. Following the granting of the preliminary injunction, Fourqurean withdrew from NFL draft consideration and participated in spring practices. This case underscores the ongoing debate about the fairness and flexibility of NCAA rules, particularly as they relate to transfer students and those who have played at different levels of collegiate sports. And this is the part most people miss. The NCAA's rules often face scrutiny for being too rigid, potentially hindering the careers of talented athletes like Fourqurean. What do you think? Should the NCAA rules be more flexible to accommodate cases like Fourqurean's? Or do they serve an important purpose in maintaining competitive balance? Share your thoughts in the comments below.